It began quietly, as most storms do. In the spring of 2025, Vanessa Paradis sat in a recording studio in Paris, sunlight trembling through the blinds. A journalist asked her gently, "If you could describe your years with Johnny in one sentence, what would it be?" She paused, lips almost smiling, before speaking softly, "Devastating. He loved me like a storm, and I was too tired to keep rebuilding." The room fell still. There was no bitterness in her voice, only a quiet exhaustion, the kind that only long love can bring. That single sentence, shared after more than a decade of privacy, carried the weight of a life once lived at full intensity. A beautiful contradiction. For 14 years, they had shared life, 2 children, and countless moments of creativity between movie sets and quiet mornings in France. Johnny Depp, restless and searching, met Vanessa Paradis, grounded and calm, in Paris in 1998. Their love was never about contracts or public declarations. Instead, it was instinctive, private, and entirely their own. Yet instinct, like weather, can change. Behind their seeming serenity lay a quiet tension, a fatigue that comes from loving someone who is always in motion, always chasing something just beyond reach. Finding calm. When they first met, something rare happened. Johnny noticed her in a hotel by the Seine, her black dress simple but striking. In that first turn, he felt a calm he hadn't known in years. She became the quiet anchor he hadn't realized he needed. He traded Hollywood chaos for cobblestone streets. She gave him roots, while he brought fire. Their love seemed almost unshakable, a secret universe of music, laughter, and children, lived away from the glare of the public eye. The balance of differences. At first, their differences complemented each other. Vanessa built life with rhythm, repetition, and care. Johnny thrived on transformation, intensity, and unpredictability. She gave him stability, and he gave her inspiration. But over time, these differences began to create friction. One became the lighthouse, while the other became the ship, chasing storms. Both grew weary, one from wandering, the other from holding space for both. The quiet weight of love. Fame and work demanded Johnny's presence elsewhere, and Vanessa often stayed behind, quietly tending to home and children. She wrote music late at night, leaving lyrics on the piano for him to find. She understood his restlessness, the shadows he carried, but loving someone so turbulent became an act of endurance. Each act of forgiveness slowly chipped away at her own color. Love became less about passion and more about management, boundaries, and survival. Living between two worlds, the world only saw the surface, a serene European fairy tale of 2 stars. Those close to them noticed the fracture lines. She was always holding things together. He was always seeking something new. By 2011, the distance had grown. Not through anger, but through absence, missed birthdays, and nights spent apart. Vanessa realized that Johnny needed the storm to feel alive, and she could no longer follow him there. She stayed because love, she believed, was endurance, a practice, not just a passion. Erosion, not betrayal. Their separation was not triggered by betrayal or a single act of harm. It was erosion, the slow wearing away of what had once been strong. She was exhausted from constantly rebuilding a house that could not hold. Yet even in leaving, she felt no anger. You cannot hate a storm that taught you to swim. For years, she protected her truth quietly, refusing to speak until she could do so with clarity. The storm within Johnny's art thrived on intensity, but that intensity also created distance in their home. Good days were luminous, laughter, music, and family life. Other days were silent, filled with withdrawal and restlessness. Vanessa understood, forgave, and adjusted her life around his needs. But patience has its limits. She began to see the toll of loving someone whose storms never fully passed. Moments of recognition. Even as distance grew, there were moments of tender clarity. A melody played late at night, a shared glance, a handwritten note, small gestures that carried love in coded forms. Their children witnessed a version of love that was both protective and fragile. Vanessa realized she could love deeply, yet still need to leave for her own peace. She began to mourn quietly while still in the relationship, understanding that grief and love could coexist. The real goodbye. The end came without grand gestures. One morning in the south of France, the sky pale and the air heavy with rain, she made coffee while he walked in, exhausted from a sleepless night. They exchanged words gentle and honest. No drama, no shouting, only recognition. Vanessa had already left in spirit. Love, once their shelter, had become a quiet echo. The sound of their child's laughter replaced the ache of absence. That was their real farewell, acceptance and reflection. Years later, Vanessa shared her truth publicly. He loved me like a storm, and I was too tired to keep rebuilding. It wasn't condemnation, only observation. The storm was natural, a cycle of beauty and destruction. Her fatigue was survival. Love, she learned, is not always enough when the fundamental rhythms of two people cannot align. Johnny loved her as deeply as he could, and she left as she needed. Not out of failure, but because love can demand boundaries as much as it inspires devotion. Rebuilding a quiet life. After their separation, Vanessa quietly rebuilt her life. Morning rituals returned, her guitar rested near the window, and laughter filled her home again. She didn't erase Johnny from her world, but refused to make him the center. Johnny continued to move from project to project, carrying the storm with him. Yet both found a way to survive, to honor what they had shared without being trapped by it. Parallel lives. Sometimes, recognition still comes in subtle ways. Vanessa heard his words on the radio once. She was my compass. I still look for her light. She felt no pain, only acknowledgement. They became parallel truths. He loved her as he could, and she left as she needed. Their paths no longer merged, yet the years they shared remained sacred. The traits that drew them together, the restless fire and steady calm, were also the ones that eventually separated them. Lessons of the storm. Their story was never about villains or victims. It was about understanding that love is not always about surviving together. It can be a reflection, a teacher, and a mirror to one's own needs and limits. Vanessa's departure was not failure, but evolution. To leave without anger and to remember without bitterness is an art that she carried into her music, into her life. Love, she realized, sometimes serves to awaken the soul rather than secure permanence. Freedom in stillness. Years later, Vanessa sings not to explain or be understood, but to remember. Johnny's art carries traces of her steadiness, an echo of a love that shaped him quietly. Their story became a parable of how one can love fiercely and still walk away without resentment. True freedom, she discovered, is quiet. It is the sound of rain without fear, the knowledge that some loves are meant to change us, not to last forever. Seasons of love. Vanessa once said, "Some people arrive like summer. They warm you, they change you, and then they go. You cannot keep the season. You can only be grateful it came." She remembered Johnny not as the man who broke her, but as the one who taught her endurance, the cost of giving everything, and the beauty of release. Johnny, in turn, carried her in the subtext of his work, the echoes of the calm that once held him steady. The moral of their story: love is not always forever. Sometimes it is a lesson, a weather system of beauty and turbulence, teaching us who we are, what we can endure, and what we cannot carry. Vanessa and Johnny survived their storm, changed but alive. They walked away without hatred, leaving behind clarity, gratitude, and grace. Some loves transform rather than last. And when the storm finally passes, what remains is the knowledge that survival is not just about staying. It is about learning when to step into the quiet, when to whisper thanks, and when to let the sky clear.